What do you get when you bombard a scientist with radiation? Not the Incredible Hulk, but the 1958 B-movie, The Hideous Sun Demon. You won't like him when it's sunny. Or maybe you will. But either way, that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
Recently, some biochemists conducted a series of experiments on insects to see what effect certain forms of radiation have on living cells. I want to show you a red ant which had been exposed to intense amounts of X-ray. This is a common housefly after exposure to gamma rays. This one used to be a grasshopper. The radiation from that isotope caused a peculiar and subtle change in the cells of Dr. McKenna's body. His whole appearance has changed into something scaly.
Scaly, he says. So, Bruce Banner gets exposed to gamma radiation and becomes the Hulk whenever he's angered, right? And our man Gil here, he gets zapped with a new isotope while hungover, and he gets a neat party trick. This movie would like us to empathize with the guy, but in the pantheon of movie mutations, this has to be one of the easier ones to hide, or easier ones to handle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to avoid daylight. You know, lots of people do it all the time for night shift work, right?
Yeah. You know, that makes me wonder how many people out there who haven't seen the actual sun, like in you know what I mean? And like, you know, been really in the sun a very, very long time. And also, I have a question. What does it really mean for this guy not to be in the sun's rays? Because there's a lot of times in this movie that I'm sitting there going, you are clearly in the sun, my friend.
And, you know, yeah, he's in the sun, and they try to say that it's like it gets the time period it takes when he's exposed to it gets shorter and shorter before the mutation kicks in. And I'm looking at it, it's like, it still looks pretty random to me, dude. I mean, there's that one scene where he's able to drive all the way, you know, from the beach back to his home. And I will say something about that scene because I wanted to see more of that because picture this, okay? Just kind of like how people say that, you know, Batman is funny if you put him into like a situation like he's food shopping or grocery shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Try like take your typical, you know, B-movie mutation and have it happen while a character's driving. That's all I say. Just picture a werewolf or, you know, other kind of mutation while they're driving. There's another movie called Werewolf from the 80s that actually did that. And it is freaking hysterical if you can track that scene down. It's nothing, and because he's driving perfectly, you know, he's transforming, and he's still like just cruising along, you know, until the end when he goes off the road. But until then, man, he was nailing it, man. He no cop would have pulled him over until then, you see. But it's just this absurd picture, and that's one of the many pleasures I got out of this film. Just picture it.
I am trying to picture it, and that would have made a great scene in this film.
I wanted more of it. It's only at the end you get to see him driving around like as the lizard guy. It's like that's amazing.
Okay, so here's my thing. Here's my thing with this movie, and there is some of this that some of them we've already talked about or hinted at least were my thoughts while I was watching the movie. I was thinking there was multiple times where I was thinking, is this going to turn into like just a kind of a bad, you know, superhero flick? I thought it would, but it never did. Because I think that my whole thought was like, this reminds me of the Hulk. It reminds me of the Thing. It reminds me of a lot of things. Now, I did do like a little bit of research on this movie. I did find that the guy was hearkening back to things like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense because that's what this movie is, except however, you know, this isn't I'm angry or just random. It's just, you know, if you're out in the sun just a little bit too long, we're taking you down or you're going to go down. Now, that does beg a good question. And that question that it begs to me is this. Does sunscreen stop this from happening?
Oh, you know, that's a good point. I don't know if they had much in the way of sunscreen back then. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, it depends. You know, these days, I suppose you could try and have, see, a clever movie these days, if you took the same idea, would take the sunscreen idea and run with that. You know, it's like, see, you know, if our hero goes out in the sun and he's like, but he puts sunscreen on and he's okay, but he stays in the water just a little too long and it runs out, you know?
Yeah, like, on top of that, too, you know, I really could never gauge when he was turning into his monster version and everything. Was he still like I couldn't tell if he was still like cognizant, smart, whatever you want to call it.
I know where you're going.
What's that?
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
I couldn't figure out if he still had like his wits about him or if he was just straight up monster.
They make some allusions like with the I think the doctor that they have a consultant doctor early on when he talks about like it's important that he not be left alone and social interaction is good for him. But I can't imagine that being a particular to his condition as just a kind of good advice for anyone who's had something major happen to them. You know, don't leave them alone right now. They've had a lot going on right now. It's like, it doesn't mean his mental faculties are going out the window, you know, although, but then on the other hand, you have that scene, and I love this. This is one of my other favorite moments where he's running back to his house. He goes to the basement, and in the door of the room he's about to hide in, there's a rat that crawls out. He instinctively grabs it, and they want to be gross with it, but it's like their special effect for the guts because he squeezes the thing to death, right? You can see him take this packet of, it looks like could be mustard, it could be like mayo, I don't know what, it's some condiment, it looks like, and he takes it from one hand and shoves it in with the rat, and he squeezes that, and that's supposed to be the guts coming out. Like, that's quality entertainment right there for me. That's why I watch these movies. That's the cheap kind of stuff I expect and want.
We're looking for, or you're looking for these small little details that just makes us the biggest train wreck of all time.
It just goes to show you there's an amount of love in it, but it got the right amount of love and passion for the project. But at the same time, it's got all the ineptitude. Yeah. It has none of the idea of what to do with itself. It just has passion. Yeah. And I love that.
These types of movies, they feel like, to me, like they're very much not fan films, but like student films and everything. Especially sometimes with how the acting is. You're not going to find world-winning acting in here, folks.
For days I've been reading everything I can find. My case is different. It's not in any of the books. I can't be cured. I couldn't help myself, Dr. McGill. I murdered somebody. And no matter what we prove, it doesn't alter the fact that I wanted to kill him. I've devoted my life to science. Do you see what's happened? What good has it done me? What chance have I got to fight? Why should I be the one? Can you answer me that? Why me? Why should I be the one picked up for this? Please tell me why!
Someone check his blood oxygen level. That's not healthy. He's got to be hyperventilating.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
Lisa! Yeah. Yes. Oh, man. I see. Give that man an Oscar. There's acting. When you don't know how to act, it's like it's just reading. A lot of the movies just like reading lines. And you can tell, I say as a voice actor, when you're just reading lines, you're just kind of like, you're still using that frontal part of your head. Mm-hmm. That it's just kind of very conscious, aware of everything you're doing. It's very self-conscious, you know? But the real acting trick is to kind of let go of the conscious mind and kind of go with, you have to know your lines, but then you have to be able to think about them in an instinctual way, which requires letting go of the conscious mind. And here it's like when you're not doing that, you just end up with reading, unless the script calls for something like emoting.
Yeah.
And that means, it means getting loud. It means going for that, going for the high decibel count. And he did, that just thrilled me. I love that no end.
I was comparing it to The Room. Is it The Room? I know it's
The
called
Room, yeah.
I think it's just called The Room with Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah,
Wiseau.
Yeah.
Especially when they were on the roof.
Oh, you mean the sunroof where the lady?
The old lady. Yeah, when he was first on there. Everything reminded me about that movie when I was watching that.
Well, that part of that I think is that they have that one famous scene. It's like, "Oh, hi, Mark." It's like that's on the roof too, and it's like, yeah, yes, that's what probably triggered it. I'm betting. I'll bet that's
really was the fact that it happened on a roof. But yes, everything about that scene, I was just like, just started like chuckling to myself. I was sitting there going, "Huh."
It's a fair comparison, and it suffers a lot of the same kind of faults that this one does. They both share faults that way. In addition to that, they've got the technical defects, like, the audio is really, really echoey. Uh-huh. Every room, you can hear every room. Like, that's the room. Speaking of rooms, it's like, yeah, you can hear the room. Practically has its own role. You almost want to give it a credit at times. It's so echoey. But you've got that. You've got things like, there's that scene where they're showing the slideshow, with the different insects. We kind of had that going in the first part of the show today. And part of the visuals is that it's like they show this one clip for half a second. And they go back to the people that are watching it, but it's like it got an extra frame or two got inserted too early and they had to kind of go away and come back again. It's like it didn't make any sense. It's just like a flash, like it's subliminally. Okay. But it's that kind of level of ineptitude. It's so many different ways that they get it wrong. It's amazing that the costume was actually not too bad except for the neckline. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good for the most part and whatnot. If you're not paying too much attention to it, like the neckline, you might not notice that part. But yeah, I thought, like, I was like, huh. I was like, all right.
Yeah. He looks kind of like I guess he kind of looks like a bit of a Klingon slash, I don't know. Have you ever seen The Last Starfighter?
Yes. Well, no. Yes, I think I have.
Yeah, there's an alien character in that. I can't think of the name of the actor who plays him, but it's like he's the companion of the main character during his adventure, and he has that very reptilian look to him too, and he reminds me of that a bit way. That is still a better special effect, no doubt. But it at least it seemed like they put some money at least somewhere. I think maybe someone had a costume made up and said, let's make a movie around this, and that was like the high energy part of the project. It was pretty decent as those things go. Anything else that struck you? I have a couple more things, but I want to ask, is there anything else you kind of got your goat a bit?
Just some of the story decisions, really. Like, but beyond, like, and I'm not talking about, like, the science to explain it. Like, some of the story decisions didn't, like, I was like, if you didn't want to put them in there, that didn't really matter for them to be in there. The whole aspect of, like, going to the bar, meeting the blonde bombshell, getting into that fight with that guy. I was like, this doesn't technically need, like, you could do anything, literally anything else, and it would be the same effect on the story, no matter what.
Yeah, there was no reason for him to be going out. In fact, I think that goes back to our original point with the fact that when your big thing is sunlight, it being the thing that triggers you, it's so easy to avoid that the story kind of has to create reasons as to make sure he gets out in it so the story can move forward and he becomes a monster every now and then. Because how else do you? That's like the centerpiece of why you watch these films, but it's like, how does he get out there? It's like, well, when he could easily avoid it, well, we're just going to make him do things. Okay, well, that's the thing. It doesn't. Story suffers, but who cares? He's like, it gets him out there. I was waiting for him to beat up the lizard, to beat up the thug guy that was the bombshell's alternate boyfriend slash I guess abusive boyfriend. I was waiting for the reptile guy to come out and smash his head. Hulk smash him, but never happened.
One of the other things with the whole story as well that I was like, huh, and I see this in your notes, the ending. Like, the ending got me. And when I say that, like, how they decided to do the ending, like, story narrative wise, I was like, most of this stuff that you're doing in this ending, I was like, you don't have to do this. Like, you could actually make your characters not make the decisions they were making, and it would be okay.
Yeah.
And when I say that, it's like, sometimes your characters take you to a certain point, and you kind of like, it's called, people say, oh, I'm letting them live, I'm letting them tell me the story, all that stuff. No. That is not the case with this story. This story, I'm sitting there going, no, a simple conversation with all of the characters here where no one's having an absolute meltdown about what's going on would quite literally fix this whole ending.
I know what you mean.
Especially with you, the cops.
Oh, the cops. Like, the cops at some point seem to have the understanding given to them that this guy's not entirely with his faculties, but that doesn't stop them or change their method of approach at all. It's still that 50s mindset of kill, exterminate, unusual thing.
Yeah.
And what was that headline? Do you remember the headline that they had the newspaper boy, which they have in so many of these movies? Weird murderer or weird murder on the loose or something like that. They actually used the word weird in the newspaper to describe the guy. This is like, okay, well, I'll just look for people. I guess I'll look for weird people then. The ending, they did the thing with he falls off the great height, which is like, it's a King Kong thing. He gets thrown from a great height and he falls down dead. I will say at least they bothered to have a splat on the ground. Did you notice that? They bothered to put a splat there. It was an empty costume. It looked more deflated than splatted, but it was still some attention to detail.
Splat.
The splat, and it's like, but he deflated. He popped, apparently, and his skin just deflated because that's what happens to you, as things will happen. But yeah, it was glorious. I love this movie. Do you notice there's a part of the frame, the upper left-hand corner of the film, that is like you could see the edge of the film lens. It kind of got blacked out a bit.
No. I had to go back and rewatch this movie just to like see all these little things.
It's throughout the entire thing, practically. I mean, it's there the whole time, pretty much. It reminds me of Plan 9 from Outer Space, which I hope we get a chance to watch on this thing. If we can watch it on Tubi, I think I want to watch that one with you, and we can share it with the audience. But because you haven't seen that one, have you?
No, not at all.
No. Okay. Well, that's an experience that'll blow your mind. So
Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Plan 9, yeah, that's like the quintessential B movie. But this one it's not quite up there with that one. I wouldn't put it quite up there with that one, but it's definitely in a higher caliber for me. So let's talk about ratings. We had a little bit of discussion of this before the show. It's like you were kind of not really thinking it was so much a nuke the fridge. And for me, this is like, I'll just say it right now, this is totally 5-star nuke the fridge territory. This is nuke the fridge to the moon, baby, and back. This is like, I'm going to watch this on a rotation of B movies that we have. So
yeah. Well, I will say this, like there were some parts of the movie, like just from a narrative point, I want to make this very clear. I do focus a little bit more on narrative just for my own personal sake. I thought there was times this movie, I was like, I really wanted the action to pick up, even knowing that it was going to be a bad movie going into it. Because I mean, come on, the Sun Demon,
of course,
the name of the movie, just everything. I was kind of hoping that the action itself would pick up. I thought there would be more substance to the monster part. Maybe like it would actually like doing some of the fighting and everything. And there was times where I thought, this movie's kind of, it's a little bit narratively on the boring side, because I thought they could have done more with it. Even in the, like, it's like, if you're going to go all in, go all in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
However, listening to you talk about like just the little things, like these little details, and because I don't watch a lot of these, bad movies like this. It's just, it's never really been my thing. It now makes me want to go back at some point and just try to like, see these little bad details. I mean, I've noticed them before. Like when I forgot the name of the movie, but the Planet movie, the one that they fought the planet, like you could see the back screen and everything, and it was just that was glorious stuff. But it does make me want to go back and like watch and just like see like all the things that they're doing that doesn't work, or that works in a perfectly bad way. And because of that, yeah, I have to, I would have to change my don't watch it to a very much a nuke the fridge.
Okay.
Because there's enough that you've said that's changed my mind on it that makes me go, okay, this must be hilariously bad. I do often want to watch these movies with a riff track or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I kind of want to go see. I think I might see if they have this episode on there.
They might very well. And I have a lot longer history with this. This goes back to my high school days. I discovered Mystery Science Theater in my high school days. And I will tell you this, is that a lot of the movies that they riff are kind of like, it's torture for them, just to make it pleasurable for us, to be able to understand, to have that kind of experience that we get as the audience. But there are a few, and I count this as one of them, is that, first of all, it matters that it's such a short running time. It really does. It's only an hour, 15 minutes long, and it needs to be that short for something like this. But for that time slot, it crams in, like I said, we've gone over a few examples here, and you observant folks out there might even find some more. And if you do, let us know. Tell us what other errors we missed, because there's probably more in something like this. But it is one of those that's like, it's jam-packed for what it is. It gets in, does its thing, gets out. And if you're just in a mood for something like this, if you're already into bad movies, this qualifies as an easy one. So this is definitely nuke the fridge in spades. So, but yeah, as we like to remind the audience at this time, that if you're enjoying this journey through film cinema history with us, please do like, subscribe, comment, and of course, follow us on your podcast purveyor of choice. We love to have you guys along for the ride, and giving us your comments and telling us what you think. And just knowing that you're there with us. So anyway, and along those lines, what are we going to be watching for next week, Ryan?
Apparently a movie, what I would guess, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum here.
By reputation, at least.
Yeah, by reputation, at least. This movie is starring Vivian Leigh, the late, great Marlon Brando, Kim Hunter, directed by, I hope I say his name right, Elia Kazan, who directed A Face in the Crown.
Yeah.
This movie is family tensions boil over when a lonely and fragile Southern belle moves into her sister and brutish brother-in-law's rundown New Orleans home.
Yeah.
If you can't guess it by now, if you have never seen it, a film on people's list, A Streetcar Named Desire.
Desire, yes. Stella is what I know about it. So,
I'm,
well,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm excited about this movie. Again, I've never seen it. Marlon Brando, I just always expect great things from Marlon Brando. Again, supposedly on the opposite end of the spectrum. Can you imagine if we come away from this both saying nuke the fridge?
Oh, you mean like, for that one, it's like, I think the chances of that are pretty close to zero as you can get. Without actually being absolutist about it. So, and yeah, but anyway. So yeah, I can't think of anything else to say, folks. And Ryan, unless you got something to add, you got anything to add?
No.
I'll see you next week, Ryan, and folks out there, we'll see you next week.
Strange pursuit, the pursuit of love.